Hey, I'm your host, Scott, Dr. GX Goldfine, and this is the 10th episode of the Jam Fans Forum. This is a show in which expert panelists provide their top picks in various funk music categories. This time around, we're taking on the gritty topic of the top 5 funk rock songs of all time. These are funk tracks whose intensity is dialed up via electrifying rock guitar rhythms, riffs, and soloing. Here we're seeking to make a distinction between those types of funk rock songs and rock songs with a funk influence or funky elements, because those will take on the next episode of Jam Fans Forum. Joining me are 3 distinguished Jam fans. First, we welcome back funk crusader, educator, and host of the Uncut Funk radio show, Phil Colley.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Philly Phil in the house. Good to be here, Scott.
Yeah, welcome back, Phil. We also say hello to first timer to the forum, radio personality, music historian, TV One Unsung contributor, author, and actor Marcus Chapman.
What's happening?
Marcus.
Good to have you.
Hey, good to be here.
Finally, but not last or least, last but not least, we welcome another forum newcomer, veteran Uncle Jam's Army alumni, and co-host of the Funkin Around podcast with PTFI is Anthony Bryant, also known as Dav Id or K-OS. How's it going, man?
Wow, pretty good, y'all. How y'all doing?
Good.
Oh,
You're flying the right flags behind you, man.
oh yeah.
Representing. Love it. So thank you, everybody, for doing this and also for always keeping the funk alive.
Absolutely.
So the full criteria for this discussion is listed in the show description, so check it out there. But before we dive in, let's briefly touch on each of your philosophical approaches, if you will, and selection methodology to this particular topic of funk rock songs. So just briefly, let's go first with Marcus.
Well, for me, I tried to go with songs that were kind of a good balance where it's a funk song, but it's got a rock edge. And that was a little more difficult than I thought it would be, because there are a lot of rock songs that are funky, and there are some straight up rock songs by funk bands. But it's interesting. I remember reading the P-Funk oral history book that came out back in '98. And I remember Ronald Edward Stozo, the graphic designer who did some of the Parlet album covers and Horny Horns. And he said back then it was almost sort of a sellout to have too much rock guitar or rock vibe to a funk song. So a lot of the bands didn't do nearly as much of that as I thought they did, just off the top of my head. But the ones that were done are pretty strong. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see what everybody picked.
Fantastic. Yeah. All right. So, Phil, what was your process for picking funk rock tracks for this particular topic?
Man, I kind of went with some of my some of my favorite funk bands, and took their more rock edge songs. And in saying rock edge songs, I'm not necessarily saying it's kind of like Mark said, you got some funk songs that dig really heavy into the guitar solos. I mean, the rock type of guitar solo, but it's still a funk jam. I would name an example, but I don't want to, just in case I step on anybody's pick. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to give an example of what I'm saying, but there are funk songs that are straight funk, but then the guitar player just, goes off, a la, Jesse, Sugarfoot, those kind of cats where they're on top of a funk track, and Drac, and they just go off. My criteria was more of the kind of like classic rock sound that we knew from the 70s. Not necessarily 70s music, but that classic rock sound with the distortion with the guitars, when they had the distorted guitar sound with the rhythm, not just, the tank-a-lank, James Brown type of guitar, but, the more distorted Cream, Black Sabbath, heavy metal type sound incorporated into the funk. And I think I got 5 tracks that kind of encapsulate that rock sound out of some of my favorite funk bands or artists.
All right. Can't wait to hear what they are. Chaos, what was your process for coming up with your picks?
Let's see. Seeing that I was into rock and funk and reggae growing up, I just kind of based it on who I knew was really funk bands and had a rock edge, and rock bands that had a funk edge, or that kind of used it. So it's kind of like the same formula. Um, and it got kind of like from 70s on up into the 80s, and it's just like it's not that many bands that you can call funk rock bands, but like Phil was saying, there's songs on funk band albums or rock band albums that would fit in that. So it was kind of tedious.
A little tricky, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
So
when I was going through the process too, is I was trying to decide, well, okay, that's got a pretty cool guitar solo, but is it really funk rock, or it's just kind of sprinkled with a cool solo? So it's like, you look at that, and just funk rock has always been one of my favorite genres, really, because just the combination of just hard rock and hard funk. I mean, it's I love that combination. So I've been looking forward to this. So thank you everybody for coming with your picks, and let's dive into it, man. Marcus, your first time. Why don't you go for it?
All right. So my first pick is a song that I think may be the best balance of funk and rock out of any song. It is an obvious funk jam, but it's also obvious that it's rock as well. And it comes from one of the great bands. It comes from one of the great albums that everybody thinks is a classic. And when I was a kid, I was born in 73. But my sister was dating a DJ, and he would give me extra copies of records because by the time I was like 3, I had my own little Fisher Price record player. So I was I was getting funk albums. I was getting albums, And this is one of the albums I had as a kid. And according to Brother Galloway, who did the CD reissue, the liner notes, he said there were copies of this particular song that were sent to rock stations without the band's name on them to try to get rock airplay so they wouldn't be biased against it since they weren't really known for that. So I'm going to this classic right here, the Isley Brothers, Go For Your Guns album, and I'm going with Climbing Up the Ladder.
Okay.
You beat me to it, man.
That's why I wanted to go first. I knew somebody was going to get it.
Climb up the ladder.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome pick. I mean, that is just always one of my favorites.
I mean, Ernie just comes out blasted from the very beginning. It's like it's no build up to it. It's like it just that
bad boy starts up.
Yeah, man. And it's like 6.5 minutes. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's a good pick, man. That's a great pick. And it fits. It fits. It's kind of like I was saying. Some of your favorite funk bands just rock it out every now and then, and that was one of those tracks where the Isleys just rocked it out, man. It fit.
And I could it's got they on stage
and I could see I could literally see a station trying to get that over without saying it's the Isleys, because those were the concerts I was going to when I was growing up, man. I was going to those shows, and man, and Ernie'd be on his knees and doing the back thing with the back of his head touching the ground while he was. The Isleys used to be the thing, man. They were the thing.
Yeah,
they were the real deal.
And I mean, I just love too that it's almost 7 minutes. It gives you all that, and it's not only the great guitar, but also just that riff, like Phil started doing. It's man.
And I gotta always shout out my guy Chris Jasper, man. I mean, Chris Jasper wrote the hell out some songs for the Isleys back then, man. And I'm pretty sure Ernie had a lot to do with the music, but I'd bet anybody $1 million that Chris Jasper wrote those lyrics.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were talking about Chaos, about being hard to find bands that were like funk rock, where it wasn't just maybe one track here or there. Isley Brothers, I think, are definitely one of the ones that did some of the most combining of rock and funk, and it could almost be challenging to pick the one you want to pick, but that's also the one I went with too. But there's a lot of other ones from
Okay.
them too that are definitely up there as well.
Yep.
Yeah, the Isley Brothers they covered it all.
Yeah.
R&B, soul, funk, rock.
And you know what's interesting too? Even though none of the songs from the album were big pop hits, the album actually was a top 10 album on the pop charts. Like they were getting, some pop sales. So who knows? Maybe that tactic might have worked for them.
What was the track on that? Was it the Pride that was on that track? Was
Yeah.
it the
The
Pride on
Pride
that
was
album?
the first single.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was number
That was
one R&B.
yeah. The
And then
Pride
they
was on
went
that
with
track.
Living in the Life, although most
Yeah,
black stations were playing Footsteps in the Dark.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Boys to Atlantis was released as
I
almost
mean,
an
they had hits on there. I mean, they an album full of hits as they did for a good 5 year run in the 70s,
yeah.
5 or 6 year run in the 70s. Good pick, man. I like that.
Yeah, got it off to a good foot, Marcus. Thanks.
Yeah.
Let's let our other first timer Chaos go next.
Well, I kind of wanted this as number one because I didn't know if we were going five as the best or one as the best. So I just went. I'm gonna just go with number five because this was like my introduction to Funkadelic, not knowing who they would become later, and just my introduction into when I started buying my own records with my allowance when I was in kindergarten on up. It was actually the first record I did buy, and it's I Want to Know If It's Good to You by Funkadelic,
Oh.
and that covers the funk rock whole psychedelic thing. Um, it it just struck me in the record store. I was with my mom, and where they had the black light posters,
Right.
All right.
and that song was playing, and she asked me what did I want because she was buying her stash. I said I want what's playing. She turned around. You want that? I said, yeah. Because it went with all of the black lights and the post. It just fit with the atmosphere of the record store. I thought so. I said, yeah. And it was the side B was the side they were playing on the 45. So it was all Eddie Hazel guitar soloing. I didn't hear the vocal parts till I got home with it and flipped it over.
Yeah, because that's the
That's
instrumental on the B side. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So I was so that was yeah. That's my pick for it.
How old were you at the time?
I was in the kindergarten and later I found out that had already been out. They just were playing it. But yeah, I was, I had no idea who Funkadelic was.
Wow, man, you came to it at a young age, because a lot of
Yeah.
us, were a little freaked out by Funkadelic when we were younger, and then it kind of took a little while, to get into it. Parliament was like no issue, but yeah, you had some Funkadelic there. Nice.
Yeah. I, I hadn't seen the album covers yet either, so
Have been all the way freaked out yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh
Yeah,
yeah.
I keep some of that scary funkadelic stuff behind me at all times, man. That thing's always looking at me when I walk in the room, man.
Mhm.
And I want to know if it's good to you. That's probably the funkiest song on that Free Your Mind album, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And if Free Your Mind would have been recorded a little different, that would have been it too. But
Yeah.
uh but yeah, that's the one that got me. So I thought every folk song should sound like that for a good while.
Well, I had a feeling that Funkadelic might get mentioned, so there you go.
Yeah. You already know.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, good pick. Another one, off and rolling. Phil, what's your number one pick? Of course, it's random order. It doesn't have to be in your order of preference, but uh, some folks like to do it chronologically. Some do it in order of preference. Some do it randomly. It's up to you.
Man, I really don't have a 1 through 5, so
Hmm.
I don't really do the whole 1 through 5 thing. Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
lost connection a second ago. I don't really do the whole 1 through 5 thing because I'm just trying to get my picks in. However, I already knew. Uh, let me hit this button real quick because it's got part of y'all cut off. Okay, so I already knew coming in that I was gonna have to compete with my guy Chaos for some of these picks. You know, so as soon as he said Funkadelic, I got nervous. Right. I was like, damn, he's gonna get me. So so with that in mind, we're gonna go ahead and stay in the funkadelic lane with one more time because I just got one funkadelic track because I could devote a whole funk rock show to
Mhm.
funkadelic alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm doing these different lists, I'll make a list and I'll put a disclaimer saying, no P funk included purposely.
Right.
I could deep dive.
Asterisk. Yeah.
Yeah, I could deep dive into that.
That's too obvious.
Right. But and actually, I purposely stayed away from a lot of funkadelic during these shows because a lot of people that know me well know, I've had people like, oh, it's funkadelic, man. Anyway, anyway, pick number one just happens to be just happens to be funkadelic, and it's from a 1974 album, Standing on the Verge, Standing
Ooh.
on the Verge, and it's called uh, Alice in My Fantasies.
I knew you was gonna play.
Okay.
Alice in My Fantasy. And the reason I picked that is because it covers the bases that what's the word aforementioned. It covers the bases that I mean it's almost like you said about the climbing the ladder song. Was it climbing the they jump on this shit like right at the beginning, you know. You know.
Yeah.
And then when they go to the bridge, they take it even higher. They go to the bridge and take it even higher, and then they just bring that thing back down. So, as they say, who says a funk band can't play rock? So, that's like
Right.
my all-time favorite funk band. That was the one of the classic lineups. In '74. That's the classic lineup before George really just. I mean, George was always tinkering with the lineups, really from day one. He was always tinkering with the lineup from day one. But you had that period of man, 70 when they really started first getting those releases through maybe 74 that they had this sound. And then, Danny was on my show not too long ago, and he talked about how in 1975, he didn't use this word, but there was almost a paradigm shift
Yeah.
with Funkadelic. He didn't use it, but that's basically, how he meant that. And there was almost this paradigm shift with Funkadelic. So 74 was one of the last years before they kind of flipped it and
Yeah. That's
went in
when
a different
Boosie and
direction.
Fred them
Yeah,
came.
yeah. So that's my first pick, man, is Funkadelic, Alice in My Fantasies, 1974, Standing on the Verge album.
You could have
Nice.
picked about 4 or 5 songs off that album. Yeah,
Yep.
that's one of my favorite albums. They had a certain attitude with that one, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Funkadelic 2 times in a row. And just for the record, my first pick was going to be Funkadelic, but I'm now pivoting.
Of course it was.
Right.
How could it not be, Um, so pivoting to someone who was actually more on the rock side, but started getting into some blues and funk. Well, he's always into blues, but started getting into some funk experimentation toward the end of his life. And if you haven't guessed already, talking about Jimi Hendrix
Okay.
and the Band of Gypsies. So pretty close in time frame to your Funkadelic pick, like 70, New Year's Eve. Recorded at Fillmore East with Buddy Miles and Billy Cox on bass and guitar, bass and drums. My track pick, it could be several on this one, but I'm going with Power of Soul.
Ah, you
Yeah,
got me, Scott.
I got somebody cool.
It
And
happens. It
you have
happens.
the same version too, because there's so many different versions of this Band of Gypsies
Yeah.
set. Um, but this really set the pace for funk rock for the whole decade to come. At the end of the '60s, with what they're doing. I mean, it could also pick Machine Gun or Who Knows or Message to Love or Changes. It's just all on here. And I'm going to just share a quote from Ricky Vincent, where he in his book described this as, quote, a never heard before amalgam of punishing guitar riffs over crisp rhythm and blues grooves. The funk rock sound would change the face of black music, setting a template for the spectacular glam funk of the 1970s. I couldn't agree with that more. So, love this. I never get tired of it. It's so great to hear Jimmy doing a groove like that and these other grooves, and just wish he could have continued and done more grooves and done more work in funk. Imagine where it would have gone. But a lot of folks carried the torch from that, including Ernie Isley, with things like Climbing Up the Ladder. So that's my first pick.
You know,
I knew somebody was going to pick something over there.
was that one of your picks? You
I
had
was
that.
ready, Scott. That
Oh,
was gonna be my next one.
you know what? See, I stayed away from Jimmy just so nobody could get me. I stayed away from that. But on what you said about wishing he could have lived longer, I really, well, obviously, man, with such a short career, a short, man, powerful, influential career, he really was just scratching the surface of who he probably could have been and was going to be. Because if you look back into 68, 69, 70, and what some of these people were doing, man, he like caught fire quickly. But then you look at some of these same artists by the time they were 75, 76, 78, they were major, major funk artists, but they were kind of still cutting their chops around that same time as well. And, Jimmy was just really, if you think about it, as influential as he was, then he really was just figuring out what the hell do I even want to do with this. I
Yeah.
got this gift. I got this talent. I'll do this album. I'll do this album. But man, who knows if that cat had lived,
Yeah.
where it would have gone with him. I mean, you know, man, George might man, need to thank him for dying or something, man. I don't know, man. No, man, that cat, he
I
could,
just knew he was gonna hook with Eddie Hazel. I
I
just knew that.
mean, I
And
mean,
that Standing on the Verge album kind of sounds like Band of Gypsies ish. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's uh,
And man, just think
yeah.
if he would have got with Funkadelic.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh my God.
Bootsy said Jimmy wanted to get them away from James Brown. So they
Right.
almost
Exactly.
became the
Him
band.
and
Hey, they
Franklin.
might have been those guys. But if Boosie had took that sound to Jimmy, what if Boosie had took the funk and the one to Jimmy
The
instead of
one to Jimmy,
George?
yeah.
Right.
Wow. And Jimmy
Yeah.
probably
Well,
would have been
Jimmy
all
was
in.
going with Miles Davis too,
Yeah.
so
Right.
Yeah.
Jimmy would have been down for that because he was
Yeah.
trying to work,
Because
work with
Miles was
Miles
down with
anyway.
some of any and everything. So, man, woulda, coulda,
Right.
shoulda. Woulda, coulda,
Yeah.
shoulda.
He did all that in 4 years.
I know.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
4-year career. Wow,
yeah,
it's amazing.
Man,
yeah.
that was a good pick, Scott. So,
Thank you, man. Thank you for not picking it, I guess, along with some of the other ones. So
it was gonna be next.
on to round two. Back to Marcus. What do you got, man?
All right, my second pick comes from a band who started in the 70s. They did pretty good. And then when it got to like 79, they just took off in a major way. And then they had a big personnel change, but they also changed the sound and added a little rock into the mix and came with one of their best albums. So my second pick is the title track from this one, Cameo, Alligator Woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I
Got
just
some
heard the
a
entire
little bit of
album a
new
month
wave and
ago.
punk like rock influence on that one too.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah. And that's another album. A couple other tracks I thought about, but I felt like that was the strongest one when it came to rock. The other ones kind of dabble in it a little bit, but that's the one where they just went all out and said, let's make a song like this. And it worked. Matter of fact, there's an episode of Soul Train where they played it for the dancers and they're going crazy. You know, they love it. So yeah, and it's one of their best albums, one of the best songs on it.
Yeah, it's kind of, it
It's
is
one of my
kind of,
favorite
you
albums
got to
on
go
there.
crazy. You got to go crazy.
Charlie Singleton doing that guitar, right?
Yeah.
Underrated. The underrated Charlie Singleton, I might add.
For
It's
sure.
that skinny tie rock, you know.
Yeah, like Rick James did Super Freak. Hopefully,
I'm
no one
gonna
picked
pull
that.
it off of all
Then they
quick
did
since
that.
we're already showing stuff, man.
So I love that album, Marcus. That's probably my favorite Cameo album, especially that side one is just killer.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Pull that off the wall. The underrated Charlie Singleton, man.
Oh, okay. We got the mask.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I took that on stage, and I took this on stage at man, what's the name of that club, man? Was it Midpoint? Man, remember Midpoint? When you hear Marcus, when Midpoint used to be bumping, man, out there in Arlington?
I don't remember
Anyway.
that one.
Yeah, anyway. That was Cameo was out there, man. I was just walking around on stage taking pictures, man.
Can you guys way back there, that picture under the gold record? Right there. That's Cameo from when that album came out, signed by those guys.
Yeah, that's the promo pic.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, you can't go wrong with some Cameo, man.
No, not at all.
My second favorite band all time.
Mine too.
Second favorite band all time.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, so we're now back to Chaos, right? Yeah.
My next pick is I gotta represent Oakland on this one because growing up we used to see this cat driving around, man. Him and another monster bass player, and everyone wanted to be like them. I'm talking about Slide Family Stone. This next song is, to me, kind of covers the funk rock part because of the integration of that band. You know, you had black and white members, and the Bay Area was very diverse. And we had Tower Power, we had, Santana, we had all of them. So everybody was playing funk and rock and mixing it together. But for me, it was I was gonna say I Want to Take You Higher because of that fuzz in there, but I'm gonna go with Sing a Simple Song because of that riff.
Right. Okay.
And it was hard. And if you would hear them play it live, yeah. So that's my next pick. That's my next pick.
Man,
I'm in that funk rock.
They were definitely rocking.
Of course, that's
Woodstock out.
Yeah, that drum break, been sampled to death.
Yeah.
So I would put Greg Enrico as one of the most sampled drummers in hip hop.
Yes, sir. Anybody seen them live? I tried twice and they didn't make it to either show.
I saw them perform on a TV show when I was a kid with my mom. But it was just like a couple of songs, Yeah.
Right.
They were supposed to come to the Cowtown. Is that the name of it in not the Cowtown? What's the name of that place
Cow
in San
Palace.
Francisco? The Cow Palace in San Francisco. It was Confunction, George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic,
Hmm.
Sly Stone, and somebody else. And the concert started 3 hours late because they had trouble with the equipment getting there. So we were sitting there. George Clinton, them, they literally came on first. And they came on first because it was like supposed to be at 7 or 8. It was 11. They came on
Hmm.
stage. Sly still wasn't there. And I don't know what happened after that because after Clinton, man, I left,
What year was this?
83, maybe 83,
Hmm.
83 at the Cow
Okay,
Palace.
that
Yeah,
must have been his not showing
83.
up years.
Yeah, it was. It was like 83, man. That was my like chance at, oh man, I'm finally gonna get to see Sly, and didn't even happen.
Mm.
So
Nah,
around
you
Atomic
had to
Dog
catch
time?
them in the
It was
you
yeah, it
had to
was
catch them in the
yeah,
late
it
'60s,
was right
early
after
'70s.
Atomic Dog, man.
Oh, okay.
Right after the Atomic Dog had hit, man. Yeah,
I didn't even think Sly was doing anything at that time.
yeah, he was on his way, man. He was on the bill. Sly could
Uh,
function, George Clinton, and but matter of fact, George might have come on second because I think Confunction did play, and then
so Atomic Dog, so that was like
they were
'82,
waiting.
It was
It was
83
82 or
was
83,
Atomic
82
Dog.
or 83. I
'83.
want to say it was 83.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
83.
that was when Sly. Yeah, that's when he was with George. So
Yeah, I want to say it was
yeah,
83.
you
Well, he
lucky
was
he
with
showed.
him
Yeah, it
in,
was when he did Hydraulic Pump right around then with George.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and he was
Oh,
on that Electric Spanking Award
yeah.
Babies out.
Yeah.
Where are my picks, man? I got
But
into what
but
y'all
yeah,
were
that P
saying.
Funk All Stars came out in '83. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
um, and then a couple years later he did that Jesse track, but I don't know what he did between the Jesse track and the Hydraulic Pump. So that's a mystery. But yeah,
Shit, cocaine.
He actually had a 12-inch out called Chasing the Rock.
Really?
Serious, yeah.
I gotta find that. Hey, can we find it?
I got it. I got it. I have a picture of it on my Facebook page too.
Do you have the song though?
No, no. Yeah, I do. I have it. It's in storage.
Okay, I
But
need that. I need that,
what I
man.
don't have here with me, I took pictures of the labels and the
I need
covers. So
I need that, man. For
I
real.
all right.
only heard it once. So
Oh my gosh.
uh,
Chasing the Rock. Why
All right.
must I
Well, good
why must
pick,
I feel
Sly.
like that? I gotta
Let's
write
keep
that
it
down.
moving. Rolling forward with Phil's second pick.
I'll go with the time. Let's go with the time.
mm,
And I'm gonna go with the Pandemonium album. And this one was written by Jam and Lewis and Jesse Johnson. Because Prince was still kind of doing his thing with them a little bit, even when the Pandemonium came out. But this is the original time lineup plus a few extras. I'm not gonna get into all the names. And this one is called The Skillet. And the Skillet is rock and roll personified, the little quick intro with the drummers, and they say we don't need no microwave, and then they just jump on it. And I mean, right from the first riff, Jesse starts ripping it up like right there from the beginning. And then you go into this like really, really man, Jelly Bean starts laying down this like really, really syncopated beat, in the background. But and like we said, the distorted guitars down, 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 down,
yeah.
down. Morris is doing his thing on that boy, and then they all jump in with in the skillet. And then they still got the funny stuff in there. What I want to know is can you cook barbecue ribs in this skillet? And so it's got the rock, it's got the funk, it's got the beat, it's got the humor, it's classic time, it's classic rock, and it's killer Jesse Johnson guitar work on there, man. So that's my
Mm.
pick, man. Time Skillet.
Okay.
Good one. One I considered for sure too. I mean, you got to get Jesse in there somewhere, right?
Yep.
People tend to forget about that Pandemonium album because it came out so much later from the first three. But yeah, they came back pretty strong with that, especially with that jerk out. That was awesome.
Man, the jerk out was straight up funk.
Yeah.
You got Pandemonium on there, which is pretty much, funk on that same kind of level. And then you got Chocolate, which is kind of funk on that same time. Morris Day, almost the Prince sound we used to have back in the day with the little just whiz and keyboards and stuff. But
Yeah.
and my favorite track on there is My Summertime Thing is my favorite track on that album, man. Because they fall into a groove on that song and just, it reminds you almost like the disco days, the old school funk days, when songs were long and the band would just fall into a groove and just stay there, you know. And if you listen to My Summertime Thing, if you haven't heard it in a while, check out that track, My Summertime Thing. You'll be like, damn, Phil was right, man. They just fell into a groove on this boy and just stayed, man. They
Right.
just fell into a groove and just stayed there until Marvin said, time to go. When he said time to go, they kind of came out of it and went back into the track, man. But yeah, skillet, skillet.
Great
What I
pick.
want to know is, can you
Like it.
cook barbecue ribs in this skillet? Oh no, boys. Oh no, Jerome.
All right. Well, I think now we've almost covered 3 decades, bringing it up to, I think was that 90, that
Yeah.
record? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the most current one so far. Nice. All right. Well, you know what? For my number 2 pick, tough choice because this is somebody, again, who's done a lot of songs you could pick for this category. And I'm sticking with Minneapolis, which you already got us going with that, Phil. Second record of Prince, Rogers Nelson, Bambi. Can't miss
Yeah.
that track,
Yeah.
man.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm gonna get an alternate.
the riff
You
of
Yeah.
got
that
me. You
song.
got me.
I mean, it's
the
fire.
one.
It's so fire, and I mean, he's hardly done anything throughout his whole career. I mean, he's done a lot of songs that had some rock in them, but nothing harder rocking, in my opinion, than Bambi. And he's continued to do it throughout his, performing career. And it wasn't a single in the U.S. Because it had those racy lyrics,
Yeah.
about being with a man instead of with a girl, and sung in his falsetto. It's got that explosive opening and doesn't let up, and then his solo is just face melting, man. Awesome solo. All instruments and vocals he did. He was only 20 or 21 years old at that time. Unbelievable. And that same year, 79, I saw his West Coast debut at the Roxy Theater performing when he only had this album out on the first record. And he was only wearing bikini briefs and leg warmers and singing only in falsetto.
Right.
And saw him do Bambi at that Roxy show. So that was a treat. But love this track. And man, rock radio, should have picked that one up, I'll tell you right now. But the lyrics maybe, but still the music, undeniable.
Music was fire on that one. I remember I was in junior high school, uh, and that album, yeah, Bambi. The rhythm guitar licks he was playing on there, uh, like you said, Scott, he he hadn't done anything as hard as that throughout. I think until the 3121 album when he did Fury.
Man, I forgot about that album.
If you catch his Saturday Night Live performance doing Fury, he was channeling Hendrix. So it's like,
Right.
and it reminded me of that whole Bambi, the way he was rocking on it. So that was good. That was a good one, Scott.
It's funny. What made that one of my picks that you took, by the way, but what made that one of my picks is, is as I was thinking funk rock songs in my head, and probably like we all do, all of us and people like, us. I just started like hearing songs in my head, and I was like, and I'm just like, think, man, think. And in my head, that riff came up at the beginning of Prince Bambi. Down, 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 down. And that's all I was hearing in my head over and over again. And I didn't even know who the hell it was. I just kept hearing that in my head. And I was like, what song is that? What song is that? And that went on in my head for like 5 minutes when I was going down the freeway and I got stuck in traffic and got on an exit. And when I got off, the rest of it came. I was like, oh yeah, Prince
Right.
Bambi. I'm picking that. And then after all that work,
Yeah.
Scott did it. So
Well,
that's how
going
I go.
last, I'm glad I beat somebody.
Yeah, that's how it goes, I guess.
All right. Ready for round three? Ready or not? Marcus, you're
round,
up again.
round three.
All right, so I'm going with one of my all-time favorite bands, one of the all-time funk bands, and one of their biggest albums. And it was a toss-up for me between the title track, which is an all-time classic, and just totally blew up for them. I almost went with that, but I didn't because there's another song on the album that I feel is a much harder rock, and it still got the funk. And at the end of the song, the guitar player starts finger tapping, which would later be made famous by my favorite rock band, Van Halen. But my pick is the Ohio Players from the Fire album. I'm going with What the Hell.
Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was thinking of that one too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's a great one right there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, yeah. Can't go wrong with that at all,
And
man.
it's long too.
Yeah.
It got that jazz in it. It's a lousy world.
I don't know, man.
It's
That might be
hell.
killing all of our picks so far, man.
Oh man, yeah, that was
That might be killing all the picks so far.
That
okay. Cool. That one.
that track, the way it combined the horns with such hard rock and the guitar solo, I mean, it was just like out there, man. It was like nothing else, I don't think.
I was what was I in the ninth grade when I used to jam that, man? I think I was in the ninth. I was either a freshman or a sophomore, man. And used to just rock that out, man. And he was going like really, really hard, and all of a sudden the horns went. I was like, damn, in case you
Man,
weren't listening, just in case you're not listening, we are the Ohio players.
it's all in your face.
That's a great pick, man. I don't even know what to say about that other than that's a great pick, man.
I don't know how to come after that one.
I know. I was like, damn, man, we should just made that like the last one. That way we don't have to talk about no more music.
It gotta show the inside too.
Oh man.
Yeah, I got that on the wall up here, man. The fire LP is on the wall, man, up here.
Oh,
Yeah.
mine's up there too. You can't see it though.
See
Yeah.
what I mean? See what I mean? Oh, it's the top that one, man.
Hey, you know what? Since unless Marcus, you have anything else to say about it? Because I want to add something.
No, go ahead.
Since it was going to be one of my picks, I had the lyric I just wanted to share with viewers. It's a lousy world. It's hell. It's hell. I can tell by the flames of ignorance. It's hell. I can tell because the dollar ain't worth but 15 cents. I mean, that was just a hard hitting musically and lyrically.
Because the president can't pay his rent.
And that was what 1974. And the dollar was worth 15. Yeah.
74, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a monster. That's how I call that track. Nice one, Marcus.
Man, I don't even know what to say after that. It's me.
Yeah, that was actually number 2 of my.
Now I feel like I'm going backwards. I feel like I'm going to go backwards after that.
I got to say, though, to anyone viewing or listening, that track was not a single. It's a deep album cut. If you're not familiar with that one, some of the other ones we mentioned maybe are a little more well-known than that one, unless you're a diehard fan. So make sure and seek that out, listen to it, check it out, because it's one of the classics and, needs more attention, recognition, just like the Ohio players in general, So, yeah, that track is No pun intended, but it is fire.
And again, even the album, remember that was a number one album, not just R&B, but pop. So it got exposure,
Yes, sir.
maybe not on the air, but people heard it. It's just over time, people don't tend to think about that as much as they do, Fire and, Sweet Sticky Thing and all that stuff. But yeah, that's one of their hardest tracks.
Is Pop on? Is Pop? What album is Pop on? Pop's not.
No,
That's
it's on
on
Honey.
I think Fop was on Honey. Yeah.
Could have been on there though. It fit.
Yeah,
Pop
Marcus, you
kinda went back to that
mentioned
sound.
that. That's so phenomenal
Went
to
back to
think that
that
album
sound,
went
yeah.
number one, Pop back then.
Yeah.
But when I look back at it, I was just so surprised. Fire was number one across the board, but they only did one more single off that album. It's like, what the hell? It's like, yeah.
But a lot of the albums were like that back then, where they would only do 2 singles, and next thing you know, the band had a whole new album. So
Yeah,
by
because
the
they put out
time,
albums so fast.
yeah, I Want to Be Free ran its course, they were coming with the Honey album. So
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
I preferred it like that, actually, getting the albums all the time.
Mhm.
All
Then
right,
everybody went all Sade on us.
Well, tough act to follow, Chaos. But what do you got for your number 3?
Man, I don't know. I'm okay. I'm gonna just go with this one. So it was a track off of the Mutiny album. First Mutiny LP song called "Burning Up."
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah. He had the guitar. They playing, both players doing the octave playing on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my favorite cutoff on that album. Was everybody was on Lump, but "Burning Up" was my favorite track on that album.
Yeah, mine
That
is
was
What Can I Say? That's my jam on that one.
I
yeah,
think that might
yeah.
be my favorite too. What more can I say?
I mean, it's cool. You got voice to the bottom of the P, all of
That's
that.
my second.
It's some jams. It's some jams on there, man. That's for sure.
"Burning Up" was like that was a straight funk rock with the kind of had that super groovelistic crucifixion drum feel.
Yeah, that's a
Is
bad
Straight up
track.
Jerome Braley, man. I was just
That's a
like,
bad
man,
track, man. Yes, sir.
Is go away from here on that one too?
Yeah, that's the first
yeah,
track.
yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Chaos, why don't you quickly explain to those who may not know, though, like, what that band was?
Mutiny was I don't want to get too deep into it, but when P Funk started, some of the members start,
Rebelling.
leaving. Uh, Jerome Braley had him and Glenn Goins had split, and they went off and did Quasar, but Jerome Braley did a band called Mutiny because it's just a whole play on the mutiny on the mama ship thing, and the brides of my Jockenstein and all that. At the time, it came out of nowhere because everybody thought P Funk was like this, never going to break up. It's going to be and Jerome Braley had co-wrote. He had co-written "Tear the Roof Off the Sucker." So, yeah, I mean, it was just a mutiny on the mothership, but he called it the mama ship, and he took some cat. I think Boogie was kind of involved with him too, but
He
I
was
don't
on the
think he was.
second album.
Yeah, I saw his picture on there.
Yeah, he's on the second Mutiny album.
But yeah, it was just one of those splinters off of P Funk, and he got a deal with CBS Columbia Records, and I don't know. I just can't talk about it without talking about what happened. So I'm gonna just
No,
leave it
you
right
did a
there.
great job. No, that's a great summation. Good job, Chaos, because, there's some viewers maybe who aren't quite as deep into it as we are, and they might not know
Yeah,
because Mutiny wasn't, a huge success. So thanks
yeah,
for
but
thanks for
he's
that, man.
underrated. It's an underrated album if you can find it. Uh,
Man, I got that. That's a
Pick
great.
that up.
It was almost it was the P Funk formula
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
it was a P Funk formula from basically a P Funk captain, lieutenant, or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. The
Strong
whole
breath. Yeah.
the guitars, I mean, he had his own guys, and Skitch Love and Lenny Holmes on guitar, Daryl Dixon, Danny Cortez, Drayton, on the
Lenny Holmes was his lead guitar player. He was.
Lenny Holmes on guitar, Nat Lee, Raymond Carter on a lot of that bass, and they just like it was the P Funk formula from a lieutenant from the P, man, took that formula and said, let's get it,
2-on-1 right there. Yeah.
Yeah. This is
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
the easiest way to get
It
it.
is, it is, it
Unless
is.
you're just pulling it up
Yeah.
on YouTube. Or,
His story needs to be told because a lot of people don't realize he was with the Five Stair Steps on that song "Who Child,"
yeah.
and plus he did a stint with the Chambers Brothers, and he was with a group called the Unifics.
Yeah, but if you
Yeah.
go back and
Some
listen to
about it.
those songs, you can hear them.
He is in the
Yeah,
Rock and Roll
exactly.
Hall of Fame, though, at least.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, though, if you can find the vinyl of that album, it's worthwhile because of the illustrations on the sleeve. They're pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
he was
right.
taking digs at Mr. Wiggles and all that. Yeah.
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 Cool, Chaos. Great pick. Phil, what do you got for number 3, man?
Number 3. This one is the group Drugs.
Ah,
Drugs from the Prescription for Miss America album. It was an offshoot of the P. It was a Clip Payne project. A lot of these guys, as they kind of progressed, became 420 Funk Mob. When Clip started touring as the 420 Funk Mob and started doing what they call basically P Funk and what they did on the off days. And
mhm.
that was just if you don't have it, man, I really feel like when you start talking about albums that true funk, I mean, especially P Funk collectors should have. This Drugs album is kind of right there at the top. Really, it's really kind of right there at the top of albums that you got to get. And that's another one of those albums where you could have picked several songs to pick from to fit the category we're talking about. But the song I picked to go on the show is a song called Never Ever. Nevereva. Never Ever. It features Clip Payne on the vocals, Chicken Burke on drums. Man, the guitars on that one is Adam Whiteoff and Chicken Burke. And if you hear Clip Payne and 420 Funk Mob, you always hear Mike going, Adam, Adam. So, as Clip's guy, man, Fred Cash on bass, man, and they just ripped it up, man. Man, it's got one of the most classic lines that I've ever heard in the song when what he said, you never do what I want you to. Oh, Clip said, treat you like a queen and you treat me like an old Playgirl magazine. Girl, what am I gonna do
Yeah,
with you?
yeah.
So I never ever wanna see you again. So yeah.
Yeah. Want to see you again.
So yeah, that's
What
my pick, man.
Yeah.
Drugs from the Prescription for Miss America album, and the song is Never Ever. My third.
was it, like 2014?
Man, I want to say it was later than that, man. I want to say it was later
Definitely our
than
most
that.
recent pick.
2000.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was early, man. It was early.
But yeah, they embody like the Funky Dog spirit to me. They go
It was,
back and they really, at a time when George was not doing that so much, because that was before they even put that Shake the Gate record out and had a bit of a comeback. But definitely keeping the Funky Dog spirit alive
yeah,
with
that
that
was in
group.
2000, man. Gary did a lot of, it was a lot of Gary on vocals. Gary's on vocals a lot on that album. George Clinton,
Yeah.
George Clinton was on some tracks. Freedom Came had a bunch of the P Funk Mob on there, but it's just one of those must-have albums to me. It's just a must-have P-Funk album.
It sounds like a funkadelic album.
Yeah.
I mean,
When you really listen to it, it just sounds like um it sounds like what some of those later P-Funk albums should have sounded like.
exactly. I mean, even to
Yeah.
this day, Clip more than anybody. Like when you listen to the P-Funk offshoots, Clip more than anybody keeps the classic funkadelic sound alive.
Yeah.
More than anybody else.
Well, Cool Picking Drugs. Even the cover was like old funkadelic with like the Pedro Bell kind of style to the art, you know.
Yeah.
But all right, good pick, Phil. Let's keep it moving. To my pick, number 3, right? I'm taking it back to the 70s to a very large band, and a lot of different people went through this band. Started out in 77, and they came out of the gate with a monster hit, which I'm not picking. But I'm going with their second album and talking about Slave from
Okay.
Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
Had Ohio Players earlier. Now we have a band that was, heavily influenced by the Ohio Players. And I'm going with From the Hardness of the World. This is another one of those 2-for-1 CDs. And Volcano Rupture.
I knew
I knew
that was the
it.
one.
As soon as you said Slave, I knew it.
Yeah, the instrumental, man. It's just and when that guitar comes in, it is just
Yeah, the bass
earth
groove.
shaking, man, earth shaking.
Is that was that Hardness of the World?
Yeah, it's Hardness of the World. It's the end of side 1, I think.
Side 2. That's the last track.
Side 2. The
side
last track
2.
was side 2. Volcano Rupture.
Baby
Yeah,
Sinister.
Volcano Rupture. So
Yeah,
Baby Sinister is another jam. So this record did not get over like their first one did that had Slide, of course. But a lot of people dismiss it. You can't miss Volcano Rupture, though, and some of the other tracks, too. But that one, man, Mark Hicks is just killing it, man. If anyone ever doubted, like, his talent on the guitar, that should dispel any of those doubts. And, this album, I looked it up. It only went to number 31 on the Soul chart. The Party Song was a single, got to number 22.
that was the mistake.
Yeah, right. Baby Sinister was a single, but didn't do nothing. And, Mark Adams and Mark Hicks, man, just what a showcase. Volcano Rupture. I can't get enough of that jam.
Oh yeah, that whole album. I like the whole album. To me, it's like when their sound changed. Like on the first album, everything seems kind of more mid range, like. But on this album, like the bass is deeper, the kick on the drum is deeper. Their whole sound is a little fatter. Then from then on, it was like, they had the fat sound, not the kind of mid-rangey sound on the first album. But yeah.
Yeah, like you said, Scott, a lot of people dismiss that album.
Another one of us gonna pick, man.
Yeah, a lot of people dismiss that album. And I remember I used to, pay more attention to what people would tell me about stuff I wasn't sure. And one day I just went ahead and bought the album, and I was like, this whole album is good. I'm feeling this. Like, I can see why it didn't work. I think to me, the opening track, Life Can Be Happy, should have been a single. It has a little bit more of the slide vibe to it. And it's got an inspirational message. That's one of my motivational songs, and I'm not even really into that, but that particular song, that Life Can Be Happy, very, very good uplifting song. It's got some good ballads on there. The World's on Hard, that's a good one. That whole album is smoking, and that Volcano Rupture definitely ends it off strong.
Yeah. That's a very underrated album.
Yeah.
Life Can Be Happy. I can be happy.
I was very worried somebody might jump on Slave before I did. I'm glad that didn't happen. So thank you for leaving me that one, fellas. I appreciate it. And yeah, there are a few ones you could pick with Slave. I mean, you certainly could pick Slide, but I think this one is a little more rocking than Slide. Slide is more is funkier.
I don't want to say anything about Slave anymore in case somebody else has another
Yeah.
Slave.
I mean, I was gonna pivot
When we
with
get to the
another
honorable
slave,
mention, when we get to the honorable
but
mention section,
yeah.
then I'll speak up on some things.
Yeah. My bad. I shouldn't have mentioned that track. Sorry.
No. You did good, Scott.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
That's a good pick though, man. I mean, when you start talking about the rock sound, uh, uh, you gotta throw. I was talking to somebody. I don't even know who I was talking to the other day. I might have been talking to my damn self. But Mark Hicks is one of the underrated. Mark Hicks is one of the underrated guitar players. When you start hearing people talk about who's at the top, you know, you hear Jesse and Eddie and Ernie, and you know, even if you go further with, you know, Carlos, you very seldom hear people throw Mark Hicks in that mix.
I think I know why though, because the first three albums, his presence was really strong, but they only had one big hit with Slide. And then the next big hit was Just a Touch of Love and then Watching You and
Yeah, and then
Snapshot.
started getting
So,
smoothed out. Yeah.
right. So people tend to think of them more so for those Steve Arrington years than those
right.
first couple of years where Drac was had more of a presence, you know. So that's probably why he kind of gets forgotten when you start talking about, you know, funk rock guitars.
That does make you know, 'cause, in fact, yeah, that concept album was almost his, the concept album was some of his strongest work, you know,
Yeah.
after the concept. And then even the concept, that was kind of like the Steve Arrington coming out party. So
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
almost the beginning of the end of his sound in a way.
Yep. All right. Let's keep it rolling. Moving on to round 4. Marcus, where are you sitting on over there, man?
All right, I'm going to go with the band who has not been represented yet, but they are obviously one of the great bands. And I'm going to an album that I think is not as appreciated by them as it was when it was out. It was a monster album when it was out, but their classic run kind of ended with the album before that because it didn't do as well as the ones that, you know, preceded it. And then the album that came after that was the last kind of good one that they had in the run, but it wasn't on the level as the other ones. So this particular album kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and you really only hear one song from it that people tend to think of. But I'm going with the last track on it because I remember when the album was out having the discussion with my cousin Barry, who got me into funk back then. And he was like, yeah, all those other songs are cool, but that last track on there, that's the one. So I'm going with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm going to the Rays album and the closing track, The Changing Times, with Roland Bautista coming back to the band and bringing that rock presence. And it's probably the hardest rock song Earth, Wind, and Fire ever put out.
Okay.
Well, that was a great description of the trajectory of Earth, Wind, and Fire, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's 1982.
End of 81.
I want to say that's 81, I believe.
Yeah, it's the end of 81, but you know, it was number one for like 11 weeks. And you know, the way Billboard did their charts back then, the year-end chart, they counted from November 1st to October 31st. So those last 2 months of the year would count for the next year. So Rays was actually the number one R&B album of 82, despite the fact it was number one in 81, because all that, you know, those points, how they tally them together counted for 82. But yeah, Let's Groove was obviously the big hit. And that's the only one you really hear, you know, a lot of. But the whole album was killer at the time. I mean, just every track. And yeah, that Changing Times was rough.
I remember hearing it at the time and thinking, who is that on guitar? Okay. You know, because they didn't have Al McKay or Johnny Graham doing it. They had Roland. Yeah, he was killing it.
Because Al had left the band. Faces was his last album. Johnny was still there, but yeah, they went with Roland. Of course, he was on Last Days in Time, just that
Hmm.
one album early, and then he came back like 10 years later.
Well, there's probably another underrated guitar player, right?
Yeah,
Roland Bautista. I mean, how many people would throw his name out there if you're talking about those players?
yeah, because
Right.
I think most people don't know what he did in between. You know,
Yeah, sometimes if you kind of off the radar, you don't get your name mentioned in those circles as to where some of the guitarists that we do mention, as the best or the greatest or whatever, stay prominent in their bands for long periods of time and they just keep getting pushed to the forefront. I mean, Eddie, Mike, Ernie, Jesse, those guys are like, they're gonna have a prominent role in the band, even as a musician.
yeah,
So,
Usually they end up doing more session work, playing with other bands that you don't realize that that's them playing and not the original band member that's on the cover.
exactly. Because
So
one person that probably would never ever get mentioned on the guitar tracks is probably one of the most respected guys in the industry that people reach out and get is Ray Parker. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
everybody wanted Ray Parker on their albums, but who knew Ray Parker was a guitarist, because after you heard of Jack and Jill and then later down the line, Ghostbusters. I mean, what
I know.
well, I mean, what casual music listener really knows about Ray Parker and what he's done, and that
right.
and that Ray is bad
Yeah,
enough to get on stage with Herbie Hancock, stuff
It's
like that.
ironic because he's so much better on guitar than he is as a vocalist.
Wait a minute.
Just to close that loop, I looked up Roland, and he's played on about 250 different projects. So, yeah,
Wow.
like you said, chaos, the session work.
yeah, he's been with a lot of people. He's done work with the Dramatics, Ronnie Laws. I mean, his list goes on.
Yep.
So
Go
All
back
right.
and
Well,
visit that Ray's album. Check out that Changing Times if you can't think of
okay.
it off the top of your
does
head.
does is that a gatefold?
Yeah, yeah,
Let's see the inside. Ah, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Nice.
And like it's interesting because it's like they did the past and the future.
They
You
always
know,
had the greatest album covers for sure.
yeah. It was Shuzi Nagaoka, the
Yeah,
Japanese
yeah, that
artist.
dude, man, he used to just kill it with those
He
covers.
did a lot of stuff. He did Sun,
Yeah, he
mhm,
did. Son.
Electric Light Orchestra, the first Parlet.
Yeah, I
mm,
was about to say, did
mm,
he do the Partlet's first
Yeah,
album?
he did do that first part of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Cool, man. Let's keep it moving to chaos for number 4.
Uh, okay, this is where I get. Is it funk rock? Is it a rock band that was influenced by funk? And I don't even think they could have been categorized, but I remember hearing this song when I was younger, and it just always stuck in my head. It was a and I never could understand what they were saying at the end of what he was saying, but and then I stopped hearing it. Then I started hearing it again. And then it kind of like had a resurgence recently or within the last couple of years. And right around the pandemic is when I found out who it was, and they had been around. They were kind of obscure, but once I seen that they had funk, they had like a mixture of world music, funk, rock, experimental, psychedelic. Um, it's the name of the song is called Vitamin C, and the group is called Can.
oh, okay, okay.
If you ask me, they're like one of those bands that was before their time, like because everybody else was Sly and all Hendrix, all that was out there. So they could have been lost in the sauce, but then they could have been well known back then. But so I was too young to like really know what I just knew what I liked. I didn't really know what their um the kind of effect they had on music or anything. But I would hear that song a lot. And but the vocal, there's a hook line in there where he's going, "You're losing, you're losing, you're losing your vitamin C." You just you just got to hear it. Just look up the song "Vitamin C" by Can and
I'm writing them
listen
all
to
down,
me,
man. Yeah, I'm writing them all
man.
down.
The drummer, man, he got some like uh what's that drummer the one that he does all like the shuffling when he's playing.
Bernard Purdy.
Bernard Purdy.
Yeah. He's like him and kind of almost like John Bonham doing Fool in the Rain
Okay.
beats.
Okay.
It's he it's a church that is funk to me. When I heard that song from the rest of the album, it's funk. They're like a cross between, they got some like early Pink Floyd, Rare Earth funk. They kind of like got a lot in it, and you can't really categorize them. But this album right here is I think one of their best. I would say to me is the best that you know 'cause I had to listen to a lot of their catalog during the pandemic once I found that, oh, that's the song right there. So I think I had heard it being played in a show or like in a TV show or something. I was like, that's the song. That's that song I remember from. And then when I found out who it was, I went and got on Discogs, looked it up,
Okay.
and it was like expensive. So I'm like, okay. Eventually, I found it on Amazon for a little cheaper. Um, for the CD version, but the wax, man, it's like because it's I don't know about now because they've reissued them, but it was kind of rare for a minute. So, but
Vinyl
I
in
can't even.
general is like super expensive now, man.
It is.
Yeah,
It really,
it's
really is.
ridiculous. Yeah, I'm
I,
gonna say it again. Find this, and the song is called Vitamin C. You see that, Phil?
Yeah, that's what I was looking up, man.
I just look.
I can't.
I looked up
I
the
I
still
group.
can't.
got feel good. I got it all written there. Is that okra?
Yeah, I can't pronounce the name of the album is. Yeah, I guess it's A.k.a. Bamyasi
Yeah,
or
no,
Edge Bamyasi. I don't know what language it is, but
I'll
I
find it.
know that they're like they came from like the back when Kraftwerk, before Kraftwerk went electronic, they were like
Experimental.
yeah, the krautrock scene from
Yeah.
Germany. And for that album, they had picked up a Japanese guy. He was the lead singer on that song. And so they're
Oh,
interesting, man.
so they're
Check it out.
European? That's a European band?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
All
find it.
right. Well, Phil, did Chaos steal a pick ahead of you again?
No. Nah, man. He stumped me. He
Yeah.
stumped me.
Now we're all
Uh,
going to check that one out.
you
Thank you,
know,
Chaos Man.
he stumped me with that one.
Oh, well, what do you got for number 4, Phil?
4. I'm gonna backtrack and do some more Prince. We just did one Prince today so far, didn't we?
Yeah.
You took my Bambi track. Took that one. But it's cool. It's cool. Because I was going back and forth with Bambi and this other track. And the track I got is from the Prince debut album, which is still to this day my favorite Prince album. I mean that was one of music is subjective, but that was one of the best debut albums ever for my money. He was dude probably wrote some of those songs when he was 17, 18 years old. put it out there, played all the instruments. So you don't have to go through it looking for a whole bunch of credits and producers and writers and who played it. It was him. You know what I mean? It was him. I didn't have to like go to the archives and, oh, who sang and who wrote this and who played. No, it was him.
Right.
His first album, Teenager. And the song, what was the name of the album? For You. And I remember going out and getting the 8-track when I first heard Soft and Wet. And I had to get that 8-track for the ride. And that was back in the day where I'd buy an album for the house and an 8-track for the car. So I'd go get both. I had a little job and shit. I spend my money on music most of the time, and other things. So anyway, Prince, I'm Yours was my cut.
Mhm.
And it was like true rock and roll. It was like true rock and roll from this little young black kid from Minneapolis that, talked Warner Brothers into saying, hey man, let me do my thing. Let me do my thing. And they saying, okay, show me what you got. And he came on the scene with those harmonies and stuff at the beginning of the album, to show I can sing. And, he was his own choir or whatever. And, Soft and Wet was like the little pop funk type sound, And then, he went in deep with I'm Yours. And if you listen to that track, he's like going hard, going off on the bass guitar, the guitar, and the drums, and just killing and killing every single one of those instruments. Like by the time you get to the vamp at the end, and he's kind of done singing this song, and it's just like, okay, it's time to rock out. He's doing his screaming ass guitar solo. He's doing these killer riffs. The drums are outlandish. You know what I mean? It's like, damn, he was a kid at the time. So if you listen to it, it's going back to like this kid, this kid is killing it. He was killing it. And then he's got all these little, the bass was simple, like boom, 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 boom. But then in between, he was doing all this just like crazy, stuff in the middle of the bangs and the booms. He's filling all this in with all these little riffs and stuff, So, and the whole time the guitar is just screaming through the whole track, at the last probably 3 minutes of the track, I didn't time it, but the guitar is just screaming. And then he's killing these riffs, and the drums and the bass are just saying, hey, let me get a little bit too through the whole thing. And he makes it all, and he just makes it all fit. And man, that was a powerful ass track, man. That's a powerful track, and then knowing it was coming from one person and from a kid made it even just that much more powerful to me. This wasn't no seasoned veteran cat that's been out there for years and played with all the greats and this and that, man. This is a kid and I'm sure he had his influences and the people that he played with, I guess his father was obviously, a really, really good to great musician. But here's this youngster that said, I'm going to do my thing, and this is what I'm going to do. And just nailed it, And look at the career he had, career. And that was, I'm always interested in a lot of people's debut albums to see where do they start and where did they take it.
When you talk about all those instruments doing their thing, Phil, to me, it almost bordered on like fusion. It was like so virtuosic, however you say the word in that way. But with the drums, like almost Billy Cobham type rolls and things like that, and just crazy.
Yeah, he nailed it, man. That's my pick, man. He nailed that track. Funk rock at its finest.
And the story is Warner Brothers actually sent people down to the studio to watch him work to see if he needed a producer. And they all said, man, this dude is fine. You ain't even got to worry about him.
Leave him alone.
Right. Because they wanted Maurice White to produce him.
Maurice White,
Hmm.
yeah, they wanted Maurice White,
Yeah, yeah. And he was like, "Nah, that
Glad that
sound's
didn't
gonna
happen.
be gone. No, I want my own sound."
Right, right.
Hmm.
He did, man. And I
Supposedly
mean,
Pitt played 27 instruments, is what they say on that album.
yeah, well, I believe that's a little embellishment because uh well, what do you call it? What do you call it? He was he started out a mysterious guy in the very beginning. You know, if you know back in the day, remember Right On magazine used to be out. It was Right On magazine and some other magazine, and he'd be doing the interviews and the stuff he was saying to these people, and I was a kid and I was like, well, that's some bullshit, but 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 that's but that's the kind of guy he was, I mean, like
Here's one.
I'm just gonna say whatever, I'm
There
just
you
gonna be
go.
outrageous. There it is, I'm gonna be rocking soul out
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I'm just gonna be outrageous. I'm gonna have a persona. I'm gonna say anything. I'm gonna look any kind of way I want to look. Scott, I was jamming Bambi today. I was jamming both of those tracks, and I was like, which one do I really want to? And the lyrics to Bambi. I mean, this dude is like, his woman got took by another woman, took his woman, and he's like, baby, she can't do what I do. And then, I don't know if it's the last lyric or what. He said, baby, I know what you need. You need to bleed. And I was like, oh my gosh, Prince. I mean, he's talking about like ripping it up, like, come on, man. But that was Prince. So,
Yeah,
So, man.
just ultra talented and doing his thing, man.
nice pick. Definitely, I considered that one as well. Phenomenal track. So nice. All right. Well, I think that leads to me to close out round 4. And again, I'm just getting sweat off my brow that no one picked the one I was going to next. But I'm going back to somebody from the Bay Area. And this was album number 5 for him. And legendary, innovative, one of a kind bass player, Mr. Larry Graham. And from this
Yeah.
album, Earthquake, the track that
Oh,
closes out side 1,
Yes.
7 minutes of just, man, earth, house shaking, everything, bass, and the
very
riff and the
much so.
fuzz.
Thank you,
So
man. I
just
was just thinking
the
that's a hell of a
opening
track.
bass plucks, that it opens with those plucks and then goes into the riff, the fuzz bass.
I didn't turn on my.
The vocals don't even come in until like 90 seconds into the song, and they come in really hard.
Get
Uh,
started.
the noise, the distortion, the breakdown, the breakdown, and then you hear like the kind of guitar making like seagull kind of sound effects and the simulated earthquake. That was such a cool. Even the rock fans I knew were interested in that track when I turned them on to it because they like seeing what their system could do with that simulated earthquake, and shake their house. Uh, so sonically, it was pretty amazing. Chocolate was already gone by them, and they were starting to kind of splinter this group, Grand Central Station. But I don't know that anyone's ever actually said it during the taping of the show, but we're all dancing around it and thinking it. But it's another one that was, you know, too hard for black radio and rock radio again, turning a deaf ear to it. Coming up at that time, Marcus, you're younger, so but coming up at that time, it was so frustrating to me, that legitimate rock-oriented songs by black artists were just shunned unless you were Jimi Hendrix, for the most part, from FM rock radio. And so many of them would have fit in well. I mean, like a Maggot Brain, at least in Los Angeles. I mean, they were not playing it. So Earthquake is another one I think that, would fit right in with like some of the hard rocking of, your Aerosmiths and your things like that of the 70s. But alas, didn't get any play. It did get some play, I think, on KDAY, black radio in Los Angeles. Not a whole lot, but a little
Really?
bit. The hit from this, of course, was the title track, Now Do You Want to Dance, which is a killer voice box track that's too short for me. But yeah, Earthquake, man, that's the jam.
That's that was a great pick. And I'm surprised when I was going through all these things in my head that that one didn't even come up in my mind. Because that's when I was a young guy and I was like be playing the bass and like learning different songs and stuff to kind of practice to, or even just sit up in my room and jam to, that was like always one of my go-to tracks, man. The first time I ever got a little effects pedal. The first time I ever got an effect pedal, I want to say I was like 17 or something like that. And you could plug that boy in and jam that down, 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 which is what I said in the very beginning. My criteria was you gotta have that distortion in there, to make it work, man. That distortion was what set for me. That was my criteria. You gotta have that distortion. And Larry Graham, Earthquake, the distortion, and at the time being some of these songs that we're talking about being 14, 15, 16, 18 years old or whatever, it never really occurred to me how black music and black rock in general was being, I guess, shunned or kept from the masses on a level it could have been, because black music, black radio wasn't playing those tracks. And black music wasn't playing those tracks, and the rock and roll stations just weren't gonna play it. So yeah, a lot of tracks just really got passed over, sadly. Good thing I was a record collector.
Yeah, it took a lot of nerve for those bands, when you think about it, to go ahead and do those songs. They were going to do it no matter what because they believed in it. All right, well, we've digressed enough. Let's keep it moving. We're going to the final round, number 5.
All right, I've been debating on which one is going to be my 5th pick, but I'm going to go, since we covered Funkadelic earlier, but we did not cover the flip side, Parliament. And really, when you think of Parliament, you don't think of rock, because it's mostly just hardcore funk, dance, rhythm. But there's one track in the classic Parliament run that, to me, there's 2 versions of it. The first one is a straight up funk, but they did another version where it's kind of like a funkadelic take on a Parliament song, to me. And it's one of my absolute favorites. And there's a part toward the end where it's just like a little bar, like 4 bars. It's like perfect. So I'm gonna go to the Parliament Live P-Funk Earth Tour album, and I'm going with the last live track on it, the live version from 1977 of Night of the Thumposaurus Peoples. They smoked that song on that show. I believe that was in LA. They didn't say it's either LA or Oakland, but I think that's LA. But man, they come out on fire from beginning to end. The drums from Jerome Braley, it's like just killer. And then the guitar riffs, and it's, like I said, the studio version is just straight funk on Mothership Connection.
Right.
But that live album, this one, they came at a whole, and I've never heard another. There are a couple of live, bootlegs out of that tour. You got the Houston show that you can see. That's still more the regular version of it. There's a couple of other ones, but the one on this album, it's like they flipped it and they just went straight rock on Night of the Thumposaurus Peoples, and they just smoke it all the way to the very end. It's like the last drum, and it's like, boom. And then you get the smoke from the mothership going back up, and all that. Yeah. So I'm going with that. The live version of Night of the Thumposaurus Peoples from Parliament Live P-Funk Earth Tour.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great pick, 'cause they did rock it out on that song, man. They did rock it out.
Yeah.
They did. They played in rock
too.
Yeah, the fade in
Yeah.
rock, huh? Came in a little stuff.
Yep.
Doop, 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 doodly doop. They get
Yeah, like the feedback come in first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they was they
Boop,
was
boop, boop, boop,
yeah,
boop.
they was
yeah,
rolling.
And then
yeah.
what was so cool about it was, they played like the little staccato notes at the first half of it. Doop, 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 doop. They kept it real like short and staccato. And then
Yeah,
when they got to rocking out, they just stretched all the notes out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it turned into the rock
Yeah,
jam right
yeah.
there, man.
And then the part where Bernie comes in too. Oh
Yeah,
man,
Oh yeah.
it's
that's when
like
it turned it
Yeah.
into the rock jam. Yeah.
And Jerome smashing them cymbals near the end at the end.
Oh
yeah,
It's
man.
like when are they gonna stop? He just keep it going.
right.
Like, man,
Wow, somehow
that's a
Jerome
good one.
snuck in twice to our picks here. Yeah, Mutiny and Parliament.
Yeah,
Well, that album too. I mean, just they brought some more rock into the Parliament thing in general because the guitar solo too on Dr. Funkenstein is really nice.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is.
you can't hear it as well as you should, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's not as
But
high in the mix as it probably could have
but
been.
I mean, all things considered, you got to live because I mean, you playing a Parliament song, but you're funkadelic, so
Right.
Mm.
you got to rock out, And
Parliament
even
Funkadelic.
and if you're playing a funkadelic sound, you got to get them harmonies and all that in there because you are Parliament, So
I like the way you came with a pick, Marcus, that was also closing their show. So you got your closing pick. So
Right.
nicely done.
close it out.
Although they probably came back with "Funkin' for Fun" at the end, but that's not
Mm.
on the album.
Cool.
Right.
All right. Well, let's keep it moving on to Chaos, number 5.
I'll just do this one.
Right.
Because it had a lot of funk in it, along with a lot of hardcore punk and metal. And I think they were kind of like the precursor to the funk metal bands that came after. And they inspired a lot of punk bands, rock bands, you name it. Um, I'm gonna go with Bad Brains
Okay.
songs called Reignition. Uh, it's like a mixture. It's like funk, metal, rock, hardcore. Well, this particular song has it all: funk, metal, hardcore, and rock. Um, it's hard, I don't know. They just inspired a lot of bands, and one of the bands that got, a lot of the bands they inspired got more recognition than them, so they kind of got lost. And another band that was before their time, and they were known for doing hardcore punk and then switch up on you and do a reggae set right in the middle of it, and then go back and come find out that before they started off being like a Return to Forever cover band. So they had the chops from
Yeah,
Right.
playing all those
that's what I'm
Return to
thinking.
Forever songs,
Right.
and then I guess at that time, late 70s, 78, 79, that kind of, that was kind of going out. So they were like, well, we need to make some money, like we was talking about earlier. So punk was the new thing. So they're like, hey man, let's play some of this. Because one of them got hip to some I think it was the Dead Boys and the Sex Pistols, and then they got inspired by that, and they were into reggae also. So they wanted, and punk was becoming a new thing. So like that was a way for them to get some money. So damn, we could play that. We got to Return if ever play fast anyway. We got all that. So they just came with that, man. It just blew people out the water. And I think this is like their third album, Eye Against Eye. So it's mixed with it's some but at that time they started doing more like uh a metal. They started going more to like a hard metal sound and a little more funk in it. So that's my pick. Is Reignition by the Bad Brains.
Lord, good that.
One of
Yeah,
my
they
favorite
were
bands.
sort of like underground a little bit in a way. I know groups that had a little more exposure, like Fishbone and Chili Peppers, and groups like that were really looking up to the Bad Brains.
Yeah, and Living Color also.
Yep.
Vernon Reed and Glover and Wimbish. Yeah, they are they but they give them their props though. But a lot of how it is, mainstream, whoever makes it big and whoever inspired them, kind of like when George Duke and the Gap Band got bigger than Parliament. When they started kind of copying that. After Flashlight, everything just changed, and then everybody had to sound like that. So it's kind of like
The
that.
Gap Band, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Yeah.
But even Ray Parker Jr., for those who like the groove, One Nation Under Groove.
It helped him a little bit, but nah, he didn't still, we didn't
Well, I
we didn't
mean, but
we didn't buy that one
it,
like we bought the Gap and George Duke, man. Come on now.
nah, but it was still like
No, I know what you're saying,
how
man.
P
I know.
Funk inspired all of those. They started doing
Yeah, I
that
already know,
sound,
man.
and
General
then
Kane.
they were bigger than P Funk. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on a radio level. So Bad Brain, I always consider them like the P Funk of punk rock because they were like that obscure underground. Like P P Funk was too black for white audience and too white for black audience. Bad Brain was kind of like the same thing. They
You
was
know,
too much
yeah,
for
that's
people. They couldn't handle it because you get these. The rosters come out on stage. They from DC. They come out on stage and everybody's like, what's this? And they just busting out 1 minute long punk songs. And then after about a flurry of that, then they just slow it down with some reggae on you. And then they go back. And nobody had seen anything like that at the time. So it was, so yeah. Anyway, I digress. That's my
All
that's
right.
my fifth one.
All right. Chaos, way to wrap it up. Good job. And we're moving on to Phil for number 5.
I want to go back to one of my favorite bands, Cameo. And I know Marcus went with Alligator Woman earlier in the show. And I'm gonna go back a little bit further in their catalog and come off of that Ugly Ego album and
Mm,
hit you with I Want You.
I knew it.
I'm gonna hit you
Yeah.
with I Want You.
Yeah. I was
Uh
just bumping that the other day.
well yeah,
mm,
man. I always say, when you have a favorite group sometimes, or like I said, Cameo is my second, you kind of go back and forth with what's my favorite Cameo album. You know?
right,
But
right.
a lot of times over the years, I have kind of identified Ugly Ego as my favorite Cameo album. Uh, it was an era where they had already done those first couple of albums. What was it?
Cardiac
I
Arrest.
can't remember, the Cardiac Arrest and We
And we
All
all know
Know
who
Who
we
We
are.
Are. And
Yeah.
I want to say that Ugly Ego was their third album,
Yeah.
possibly the fourth. I want to say it was their third album though.
Yeah, it was.
No, I know I was
Yeah.
still I was still in high school and I was driving the Chevette and I was listening to 8-track. So I want to say it was their third album. And man,
Yeah.
every album on that song hit to me. I mean, every Cameo album did to
Yeah.
me, except for that what's the one, man? New York and The Rock and all that. And when they tried the little
The
disco
next one,
thing.
Secret Omen.
Yeah, that one didn't hit for me, man. That's the only one that didn't hit for me. I liked like 3 tracks, but The Rock and Macho in New York, and those didn't hit for me. But we're digressing. Let's get off the digression and let's get back on this track, man. It was Cameo at its finest. They were a band that was steadily rising with their sound at the time. Like I said, I think they experimented with the disco thing because disco was on, but disco came and went, so they came and got back with their regular sound right after that. But Ugly Ego is might be my favorite one. But as far as funk rock goes, it's got all the qualities that you would want in a funk rock song. Wayne Cooper's vocals kind of set it over the top for me. Which might be the difference in like an Alligator Woman to me, and say I Want You, because Wayne Cooper and I've Scott, you've done it a lot as well, and Mark, you maybe too, but the classic Cameo lineup, I know at least 5 of those cats have been on my show at one time or another, especially when I was doing interviews a lot, and man, every single one of them had the same thing to say about Wayne Cooper. They all talked about how Wayne Cooper was like almost an otherworldly vocalist, that he was in your camp. And you're musicians, and these are musicians with great chops, but they all talked about Wayne Cooper's vocals with reverence, like, no, this guy was that guy. His vocals were that good. Yeah, we can sing, and yeah, so and so can sing. And so, but Wayne Cooper is, they put him on a different level. The same way if you talk to a lot of P-Funk guys, they put Glenn on a different level vocally. If you ever talk to a bunch of those guys, they put Glenn vocally on a different level from most other vocalists, because they were just saying he was basically just that gifted as a vocalist. And you got the Cameo, the guitar is the lead guitar on that song it's a little understated as far as guitars go. I mean, it's a blazing solo, but as far as the mix goes, it's kind of a little bit understated. But it's still the rock formula, it's still the distortion, and for me, Wayne Cooper's vocals put it over the top. So Cameo, Ugly Ego album, I Want You, that's my final pick for the night.
Great riff on that. Yeah, that's my favorite track on that. Well, my second favorite. My favorite track on that album would be Anything You Want to Do.
Okay.
I love that bass line, even though they used it in C on the Funk on the album before that.
Right. Yeah.
Doom, 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 doom. But yeah, and that I want. It's only one track on that album I don't like, which is the ballad that comes before that.
Which one is that?
Give Love a Chance. Nah, man. Nah. And they released it as the second single. I'm like,
that's why music is subjective, man. I love that song, man.
Nah, it's like I get what they were trying to do, but it's like they didn't approach it vocally the right way.
You try to tell me I'm a fool.
Like that. What they was trying to do.
It shouldn't have been the second single though.
Now I may agree with you there. I may agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Ugly Ego, also one of my favorite albums by them, along with Alligator Woman. But I think that album overall, notwithstanding Alligator Woman as a song itself, but I think overall that was Cameo's hardest rocking album.
Probably so. Probably was my second favorite. I mean, they put out, because
because
really
Insane has a guitar soloing.
They really got funkier. Like I said, man, they tried to go disco with that next one, and then they. What was it? Cameo, Knights of the Sound Table, or no?
Cameosis came after.
Cameo.
Man, they came out with so many so fast. Cameosis, Knights of the Sound Table.
Cameosis, then Feel Me,
then Feel Me, and then Knights of the. They all came out so fast, like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
But
because they did I Just Want to Be on what was that, Secret Omen.
Yeah.
No.
So it was like, okay, now.
No, they
did.
did.
It was.
Come on,
see, that's
I
how
Just
much
Want to
I
Be.
didn't like. I can't ever remember the name of that. Yeah, Secret Omen.
Yeah, see that's what I'm saying. Now it was like, okay, that's Now we got to we need another I Just Want to Be. So they didn't have
Shake Your
another one of those
Pants.
on
They
the album,
tried.
so they
Yeah.
rushed out another album. With what was the one after that?
Shake Your
Cameos.
Pants was on.
Shake Your Pants,
Cameos
yeah.
just shake
Yeah.
your
That's
pants.
that's their best album overall.
Cameosis.
Oh yeah, that's
I don't know. I really
Wayne,
like Feel Me too.
Wayne was still there,
Feel Me
man.
is cool, yeah.
They
I
did
like Feel
cameos,
Me.
and
Cameos.
Wayne was still with the band then, man.
That's his last album.
Yeah, that was his last album, man. They kind of changed.
Yeah.
Wayne Cooper leaving Cameo felt to me like when Gary Shouter died and left P Funk. It's
Mm.
like, man, they're still P Funk, but they'll just never be the same to me. And that's not how it really is, but that's just how it is to me. That's
Well, how about when Steve Arrington left Slave? I mean, that was a pretty big
Yeah, that's it.
drop off for that band after that. Yeah.
Because at least
yeah,
Cameo kept being successful and got even bigger as time
they
went on.
did. They really, really did. They did. It's almost like, man, the slave story is so, and we keep digressing.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
Yeah.
slave story is so complicated.
yeah.
It
And I'm
is.
I'm
I
gonna and I'm
know.
gonna, and I'm gonna leave it alone on that note, man. We'll
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
that
We
for
got to
another
keep it
show,
rolling
man.
here
We'll
and
say that
wind
for
this up
another
so we get
show.
to our
Yeah,
honorary picks after my final
we'll say
pick.
that for another show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going with a band that I'm a little bit amazed nobody's picked because I think if you give it some thought, you're going to think, I mean, you can make a good case. They're definitely, in my mind, one of the most prominent and accomplished funk rock bands there's been. They only have one hit, though, in terms of like radio really picking it up, and it was for a soul ballad. So the group I'm talking about is Mother's Finest.
Yeah.
And there's a little album pictures there. The record I'm talking about is Give You All the Love Inside of Me. That is a jam from 1976 from their second self-titled album for Epic. Just, the lead vocals of Joyce Kennedy. I mean, she's one of the most underrated singers I think there's
Mm-hmm.
been. I mean, she could
Mm-hmm.
belt it
Yeah.
out. She's like almost on like a Shaka Khan kind of level, rocking it out. And her husband, Murdoch, Doc Murdoch, on the male vocals, of course. But this track is almost 8 minutes long, and it goes into all these
Mm.
different parts. It's got the solos, it's got the breakdowns, it's got like everything you can want. It's got Joyce just wailing away to the guitar and the bass and the drums. Mother's Finest also amazing bass player and wizard. Such a good band. I mean, the guitar player was really good. Moses is that his name on guitar? I think so. But their biggest sales referring to was Changes, which in 1978 was a huge hit, a Skip Scarborough song. So some people might not know that they just rocked out like crazy. The majority of their material is rock and funk rock, and in that area, even going a little bit into like heavy metal kind of stuff. But they had a lot more success overseas than in America, and they're still out there doing shows. I mean, they've been doing it for like since like 70 or somewhere around there, and they're still out there doing it with Joyce and Doc Murdoch, and most of the original members are still out there.
Mm.
I saw them for the first time myself, like about 3 years ago, and it was a
Really.
cool show. Yeah. So if you don't know that track, man, you got to get on it because that is funk rock at its finest, I think.
The one
Mother's
band that the guys from P Funk said blew them out on stage.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. They were on bills with like the rock bands in the 70s, AC/DC and Aerosmith, and they held their own against all those groups. There's some videos, if you haven't seen them, on YouTube from the 70s of them performing that are just phenomenal. So anyone who hasn't seen those, definitely check them out. They're pro shot, really good stuff. So let's go around and do our honorable mentions. So pick 3 to 5 that you had a hard time not including. And so I don't know, Phil, you want to do that first?
Oh, I can. So, we you talked about that Mother's Finest, and that was one of my picks that I didn't actually use. It wasn't your song, but I had picked the Bone song, and it's you're getting closer to the bone, and Joyce is wailing it out, and they're doing their thing, and Mother's Finest is one of those groups that, like you said, two white for the blacks, two black for the whites. And man, they landed where they landed. Now, here's a song when we start talking honorable mentions. I really, really wanted to pick this song. Somebody mentioned Living Color earlier. And I think this is just a classic, classic, classic song, period, for the band and for the lyrical content of it. Open Letter to a Landlord. It's just, Open Letter to a Landlord is just a powerful, powerful track. But one of the reasons that I chose not to go with Living Color, and I'm gonna be really brief, is, man, sometimes you can have a band, and just because they're black people doesn't make them a funk band.
No.
One of the reasons they didn't get a lot of the credit that they deserve is because they were just a great ass rock band, and they were black guys. You know what I mean? I mean, they were just a great ass rock band. Vernon, Corey, Will, Doug, man, those dudes, they had it. I mean, they were those guys. Man, shout out to Living Color. And I'm gonna say three more honorable mentions. All Funkadelic that we didn't get to. But man, I had Maggot Brains, Super Stupid, and Hardcore Jollies on my list. And I just wrote down in case I had to pivot to. Probably a dozen more that I could have picked from Funkadelic, but I had those. And then my other one was from a band that's really I don't even know how to classify these guys, to be honest. I don't know what category to put them in. But Tommy the Cat by
Primus.
Primus. That was, I almost threw them in there, man, because their work is just, that Primus work to me, man, is phenomenal. I love their music. I love their videos. Primus,
That's
man.
Claypool.
Those are my guys, man.
Cool.
That's it.
All right. I hear you on the Living Color thing, because I thought of that too. I was considering some of their stuff, but I didn't do them because I see them as more rock than
It's
funk
a rock
rock.
band. They're a rock band.
Yeah. Cool. Marcus, what are your honorable mentions?
Well, my first pick was Climbing Up the Ladder, Ozzy Brothers. I almost went more so on a historical tip because that lady,
Yeah.
that's the song that kicked off the 3+3 era, and I mean, you still hear it. It's a funk song, it's rock, it's everything. So I almost went with that, but I couldn't not pick Climbing Up the Ladder, so I didn't go with that. Funkadelic, I almost went with a cut off this one, not only for the music but for the lyrics, because it's a subject matter that most funk bands or any kind of band or anybody wasn't touching. No head, no backstage pass, with that riff from Ron Bykowski, which is funny because I remember when Eric B. and Rakim sampled it for Lyrics of Fury. So yeah, I almost went with that, but it's only 2 minutes and 40 seconds or something. So, I ended up not picking that one. Almost went with Slide. Got it autographed by Drac in 2007. I also almost went with my favorite cut on here, the first song on side 2, You and Me, because he's killing it on that one as well. Also, real quick, I almost went with Eddie Hazel, California Dreaming.
Nice.
Came close to picking that. I also had Super Stupid. So we'll hold up the maggot brain. I didn't pick I wasn't going to go with the title track because to me, if you don't know who the band is, it's just a straight up rock song. There's really no funk in the song Maggot Brain other than the cats who playing it, you know. But yeah, Super Stupid was an alternative. And then my last one was another Funkadelic. Almost went with Red Hot Mama. Almost went
Me
with
too.
I'll Stay, which is my favorite track on this. So yeah, those were my alternates.
Nice. And I love the way you had the records right there too for your alternates. Very cool.
Yeah, I had to pull them out.
All right. Chaos, what are your alternate picks? Do you have some alternates?
Oh yeah, do I? One I don't. It's right there, but I'm for the sake of editing, I'm gonna not pick it, but if go over there and pick it up. But we kind of touched on it earlier, but I have so many. I'll okay. My alternates were yeah, because I wanted to do Funkadelic, but I just didn't want to be obvious, so I wanted to shed some light on some other songs. But yeah, I would have went with Cosmic Slop live version on the Hardcore Jollies album.
Yeah.
Uh, I would have went with Wars of Armageddon on Maggot Brain album,
Okay.
and which was kind of like sampling throughout that
Right, yeah.
extravaganza, uh and one of my favorite songs by Funkadelic, Lunch Metaphobia,
Mm.
Okay.
which just to me sounds like a rock version of Swing Down, Sweet Chariot. When they get to the down, 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 it's the same thing to me. I don't know if you hear it, but if you listen to both of them, you'll hear it.
Actually, it's funny you mentioned that real quick. On the clip that they did for the Parliament Live album that Casablanca made, you can hear them playing that riff,
Yeah.
with the Swing Down where they were,
Yeah.
when they were
That's what they
rehearsing.
call the mothership down with. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also too, I'm sure you heard the bootleg from the Sugar Shack from '75, I believe, where they started out with that Lunch Metaphobia, long before they recorded it.
Right.
So yeah, they were playing that for at least 3-4 years.
But Georgia always recycled. They always recycled riffs
Yeah.
and tracks. I mean, forever.
Yeah, that's how they usually start with riffs
Yeah.
and rehearsal or something, or live getting ready. So that was out of Funkadelic, but there's too many Funkadelics to pick. Really all of my picks would have been Funkadelic, but
Yeah. Well, admirable restraint not doing that.
Right.
Right. And so my other picks was gonna be FOP, Ohio Players.
I thought about that one. Yeah.
Remember Soundgarden covered that. They did a version of that. And then part of my honorable mentions was a band that they was kind of under the radar, but they, I don't know, they don't really get a lot of recognition. I think it's Rare Earth. There's a lot of those guys, a lot of those cats played on Funkadelic records, and they were doing a lot of Motown session work. So, and I got hip to them by the album where they did that 21-minute version of Get Ready. The very beginning, it was like slow and just like this funk intro, and then it goes into the song we knew Smokey Robinson did because he wrote that. So, but my honorable mentions with Rare Earth were It Makes You Happy, but it ain't gonna last too long. And one of the reasons why is because it has Ray Monet, Carl Warren, Reggie McBride, and Frosty and Eddie Guzman playing on it. And those musicians did a lot of work with Funkadelic on the Let's Take It to the Stage album
Yeah.
and I want to say the Stand on the Verge, but and they were all in cahoots with Dennis Coffey and all of that, and they played on the first Funkadelic album. It's too much history behind Rare Earth and session work, and also about all these was about Rare Earth. It's Keeping Me Out of the Storm from their Back to Earth album, and Finger Licking Good, Do It Right, Wine, Women, and Song, and Midnight Lady.
All
Those are my
right.
rare picks that I didn't,
I think you gave us about 10 picks. That's
Yeah, there was so many I had to.
all right, man. Um, so my final picks, first off, I got to just say, you already named some of them, the ones I had considered. Ones that I also had that I didn't get to were the Barkays, Baby I Love You from 71. The
Okay.
Barkays, before they came back on Mercury, they were rocking out with those Stax records. They did a few albums. They did one called Black Rock,
Yeah.
and so they were cutting up. This was in between the tragedy where they lost most of the members, and then they regrouped, and they had Larry Dotson come in for vocals. And to me, that's it leads off one of their albums.
Yeah, that's the Black Rock album. That's the first one he was on.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's a pretty rocking track. It goes all over the place.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
That's the Aretha song, right?
It is. Yeah, you wouldn't
yeah,
recognize it, but yeah.
Right.
And then I also had Betty Davis. If I'm in luck, I might get picked up from 73.
Okay,
So,
that's a good pick.
yeah, definitely got a rock flavor, in my opinion, on that one. It's got rock attitude and swagger, no doubt about that. And a couple more. I mean, I had a bunch of Prince, a bunch of Isley Brothers. I will say Stevie Wonder, Frontlines. You guys hip to that one at all?
Yeah,
That's on the
From,
Musicarium album, where
yeah.
he's given lyrics about coming back from Vietnam and all that.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe, definitely one of Stevie Wonder's most rocking songs. It's got prominent guitar throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's one. And I'll go with, you did a lot of Rare Earth. I'll go with Temptations, Ball of Confusion. That track is rocking out. Really good too. It's been covered by rock bands. And lastly, this is something I struggle with when we're going to this category. You talked about a rock band, Living Color, maybe not really being funk. Also, I looked at and considered things like Run DMC and how they brought rock guitar into tracks that they did. King of Rock and
Raising Hell, the
Raising
title
Hell.
track.
Yeah, those tracks. I mean, I really liked them. But can you consider it funk rock? It's rap rock, but yeah.
Yeah, I say that's more rap rock, but yeah, I could, yeah, it could work for funk though. I can see that.
So as a final one, I'll just say Rufus, you got the love. Going back to my man Ray Parker. So
Hey, Parker. Yeah.
yeah.
Tim, Ray Parker he did his thing on that track, really, man. That's a Ray Parker track. A lot of people don't know that, man.
Yeah, he was just a teenager and tearing it up on that.
Ray Parker did his thing on that track.
So, all right. Well, that wraps up finally our official choices for the top 5 all time and all of our alternates. We got 20 altogether plus some extra on top for gravy. So before we sign off, guys, I'd like to go round robin and just give everybody a little bit of chance to say any final word or if you want to promote something. So with that in mind, let's go to Marcus and what do you got?
Yeah, I don't have anything in particular I want to promote. I look forward to the next shows though, because I've been checking them all out.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is cool. I don't do a lot of people saw me on Unsung, so they assume I like talking about music. I rarely talk about music. I like listening and learning and watching interviews and reading and but I'm always willing to talk about funk though. So yeah, great opportunity to do this.
I dragged you in from the shadows, now you're got the spotlight. Yeah, great job though. Welcome. Chaos, you got anything to close us out with? I'm sure you want to promote your podcast, right?
Yeah, just me and PTFI do a weekly show called Funkin Around with PTFI and David K-OS. Um, we starting to get special guests on the show, but usually we just talk about anything, all things funk related, or what comes out of the funk and what drew you to funk, and it's all funk related. And but it could be everyday anything in everyday life that you use the funk to get through everything. So and that's like again every Tuesday at 6 o'clock on YouTube, and we also have them up on Spotify. Um, so
Nice. And that's 6 o'clock Pacific time.
Pacific time, yes,
Yeah.
8 Central and 9 Eastern. So, and Phil, you was a guest on our show, right? Yeah.
I was. I
I
was
want to
a
get you
guest on
back
that
on
show.
there.
I had a
That's a
great time, man.
Uh,
I've been telling Phil, man, bring your boy back, man.
Man, we want all of y'all on the show. We love to talk
I've been
to
telling
you,
your boy, bring
Scott.
me
We love
back,
to
man.
talk to you, Marcus. We'd like to bring you back on there, Phil. We want to just keep everything going, man. You know,
Nice. Well, that's a good segue to Phil, since he was on your show. Phil, what do you got to close us out for you personally?
Well, as always, man, Phil Colley, a.k.a. Philly Phil. Every Monday night we go live with what we call the Funk Bus, lovingly called the Funk Bus. It's a live funk
Mm.
show that's now on pfunkradio.com. So pfunkradio.com. Catch the Uncut Funk with your boy Philly Phil, aka Phil Colley.
Right
8 p.m.
on.
Central Time. It's 6 on the West Coast, 9 in the East, man. Just come check us out, man. Every Monday night, and we just throw down on the funk, man. That's what we do.
Right
Cool.
on. And people watching and listening may probably don't know, but special thanks to Phil because he stepped in. We had a scratch of another Jam fan that was going to do this. And short notice, Phil stepped in. And of course, I had no doubt he'd do a fantastic job. So thank you, Phil.
You are certainly welcome anytime.
Well, with that, I hope everybody enjoyed this edition of the Jam Fans Forum. Check out the description of this video for links to the songs we talked about. Don't forget to like, comment, and share this video. Also, subscribe to the channel. Drop your own personal choices for your top 5 funk rock songs of all time into the comments. And also tell us what other categories you'd like to see covered on this program. As mentioned, the next time around, the Jam Fans will reveal the funkiest rock songs of all time. So we'll flip it a little bit on that one. But for now, as always, this is Scott, Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.